Hello and welcome to English with Justino, videos designed for you to learn English vocabulary, expressions, culture, and maybe even some grammar along the way. This video is for those already speaking English at an intermediate or advanced level. The idea here is to listen, read, and learn from a native English speaker in a natural way, the way you first learned your native language, by hearing it. Okay, forward we go. Enjoy! Alice's Wonderland Adventures, Chapter 4, Lesson 1. It was the White Rabbit, trotting slowly back again and looking anxiously about as it went, as if it had lost something. And she heard it muttering to herself, "The Duchess, the Duchess! Oh, my dear paws! Oh, my fur and whiskers! She'll get me executed as sure as ferrets are ferrets! Where can I have dropped them, I wonder?" Who had arrived? The White Rabbit had arrived. How did the White Rabbit arrive? He trotted back again slowly. Was the White Rabbit anxious or nervous about something? Yes, the White Rabbit was anxious or nervous because he lost something. Was he worried the Duchess would do something to him? Yes, the White Rabbit was worried the Duchess might execute him. Alice guessed in a moment that it was looking for the fan and the pair of white kid gloves, and she very good-naturedly began hunting about for them, but they were nowhere to be seen. Everything seemed to have changed since her swim in the pool, and the great hall, with the glass table and the little door. Everything had vanished completely. What did Alice guess the White Rabbit was looking for? Alice guessed at that moment that the White Rabbit was looking for the fan and white kid gloves. Did Alice start looking for them? Yes, Alice started looking for them. Did Alice find the White Rabbit's fan and white kid gloves? No, Alice did not find them, and she noticed that everything in this place had changed since her swim in the pool of tears. There was no more great hall with glass table and little door. Very soon, the rabbit noticed Alice as she was looking around and called out to her in an angry tone, "Why, Mary Ann, what are you doing out here? Run home this moment and fetch me a pair of gloves and a fan." And Alice was so frightened she ran off at once in the direction it pointed to, without trying to explain the mistake it had made. Did the White Rabbit see Alice? Yes, the White Rabbit noticed or saw Alice looking around. What did the White Rabbit say to Alice? The White Rabbit, in an angry tone, and as if it knew her, asked Alice what she was doing here. What did the White Rabbit then tell Alice? He told Alice to run home right away and fetch or get him a pair of gloves and a fan. Did he say she could take her time? No, the White Rabbit said to do it quickly. What did Alice do? Alice did what he said without asking or explaining that he made a mistake by thinking she was someone else. "He took me for a housemaid," she said to herself as she ran. "How surprised he'll be when he finds out who I am. But I'd better take him his fan and gloves, that is, if I can find them." As she said this, she arrived in front of a cute little house, on the door of which was a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved upon it. She went in without knocking and hurried upstairs, in great fear that she might meet the real Mary Ann and be sent out of the house before she had found the fan and gloves. Who did the White Rabbit think Alice was? The White Rabbit mistook Alice for his housemaid, or the person who takes care of his house. What did Alice arrive in front of? Alice arrived in front of a cute little house. What did it have on the door? There was a bright brass plate with the name W. Rabbit engraved on it. Did Alice go into the house? Yes, Alice went into the house without knocking. Did Alice go down the stairs in the house? No, Alice went up the stairs. What was Alice afraid of? Alice was afraid of running into the real Mary Ann and being sent away before finding the fan and gloves. How strange, Alice said to herself, to be doing errands for a rabbit. I suppose Dinah will be sending me on errands next. And she began dreaming of this sort of thing that would happen. Did Alice think it was strange for a rabbit to be asking her to run errands? Yes, Alice thought it was strange for a rabbit to be asking her to do things, and she began dreaming what her cat Dinah might say if he asked her to do things. By this time, she had found her way into a tidy little room with a table by the window, and on it, as she had hoped, a fan and 2 or 3 pairs of tiny white kid gloves. She picked up the fan and a pair of gloves and was just going to leave the room when she noticed a little bottle on the table. There was no label this time with the words "Drink me," but nevertheless, she uncorked it and put it to her lips. "I know something interesting is sure to happen," she said to herself. "Whenever I eat or drink anything, I'll just see what this bottle does when I drink it. I hope it will make me grow large again. I'm tired of being such a tiny little thing." Where did Alice go in the house? She went into a tidy little room with a table by the window. What was on the table? Alice found the fan and tiny white kid gloves that the rabbit wanted. What else did Alice find? Alice found another small bottle on the table. What did Alice do with the bottle? Alice drank what was in the bottle, hoping it would make her grow large again. It did so indeed, and much sooner than she had expected. Before she drank half the bottle, she found her head pressing against the ceiling and had to stoop to save her neck from being broken. She quickly put down the bottle, saying to herself, "That's enough. I hope I don't grow too much. As it is, I can't get out the door. I do wish I did not drink so much." What happened to Alice when she drank the contents of the small bottle? Did Alice shrink down even more? No, Alice grew large again. So large she could not get out the door of the small house where the White Rabbit lived. Unfortunately, it was too late to wish that. She kept on growing, and very soon had to kneel down on the floor. In another minute, there was not even room for this, and she tried lying down with one elbow against the door and the other arm curled around her head, and still she kept on growing. And at last she put one arm out the window and one foot up the chimney and said to herself, "Now I'm stuck and can't do anything more. Oh no, now what will happen?" What happened to Alice? Did Alice walk out the front door of the house? No, Alice did not walk out the front door of the house. Alice kept on growing. She grew so large she had an arm out of the window and a leg up the chimney, and she was stuck there. Luckily for Alice, the little magic bottle had now had its full effect, and she grew no larger. Still, it was very uncomfortable, and as there seemed to be no sort of chance of her ever getting out of this room again, no wonder she felt unhappy. Did Alice keep growing so big she ruined the little house? No. Luckily for Alice, the little magic bottle had taken full effect, and she did not grow any larger, although she was stuck and very uncomfortable. Did Alice think it would be hard to get out of the house? Yes. Alice thought there was no chance of ever getting out of the house or the room that she was in. Was Alice happy? No. Alice was unhappy, or sad. It was much nicer at home, thought poor Alice, when I was not always growing larger and smaller and being ordered around by mice and rabbits. I almost wish I hadn't gone down that rabbit hole. However, what is going on is rather interesting. I wonder what else can happen. When I used to read fairy tales, I imagined the stories were never true, yet here I am in the middle of one. There should be a book written about me and this story. That's what I think. Did Alice like this place? Well, maybe, but she thought it was much nicer at home. Why did Alice think this? She was not always growing larger and smaller at home, and mice and rabbits were not ordering her around. Did Alice think this place was strange and interesting? Yes, Alice thought this place was strange and interesting, and also wondered what else could happen. Did Alice used to read fairy tales? Yes, Alice used to read fairy tales. Did Alice think they were true? No, Alice did not think the fairy tales were true. Is Alice changing her mind now? Yes, Alice is changing her mind because this place she is in feels like one of her fairy tale books. Alice was stuck in the room in the house, too large to get out, and she started talking to herself. She went on, first taking one side of the story and then the other. She was making quite a conversation all by herself, stuck in the room. But after a few minutes of this, she heard a voice outside and stopped to listen. What was Alice doing? Alice was stuck in a room so big she could not move, so she started talking to herself. Did Alice first take one side of the story and then the other? Yes, Alice was arguing to herself by taking one side of the story and then the other. Was Alice having a conversation with herself? Yes, Alice was talking to herself or having a conversation with herself while she was stuck in a room in the White Rabbit's house. She was now too big to get out and was stuck. Did Alice hear something? Yes, Alice heard a voice outside, and she stopped her conversation with herself to listen. And that's the story. Here's the summary in the past, present, and future tenses. Past tense. Alice was crying again about her situation in this strange place when along came the White Rabbit, talking to itself nervously about being late and losing his fan and white gloves. The White Rabbit saw Alice and called out to her in an angry tone to go fetch his fan and white gloves. He pointed off in the direction toward the house and thought Alice was the housemaid. Alice arrived at the rabbit's house and immediately went in the house and found the fan and gloves. She also found another little bottle and drank what was inside. It made her grow so large she got stuck in the room of the White Rabbit's house and could not get out. Alice was talking to herself when she heard someone's voice outside. When will Alice learn not to drink strange potions in this fairy tale land? Present tense. Alice is crying again about her situation in this strange place when along comes the White Rabbit talking to itself nervously about being late and losing his fan and white gloves. The rabbit sees Alice and calls out to her in an angry tone to go fetch his fan and white gloves. He points off in the direction toward the house and thinks Alice is the housemaid. Alice arrives at the rabbit's house and immediately goes in the house and finds the fan and gloves. She also finds another little bottle and drinks what is inside. It makes her grow so large, she gets stuck in the room of the White Rabbit's house and she cannot get out. Alice is talking to herself when she hears someone's voice outside. When will Alice learn not to drink strange potions in the fairy tale land? The future tense. Alice will be crying again about her situation in this strange place, and the White Rabbit will arrive, talking to itself nervously about being late and losing his fan and white gloves. The rabbit will see Alice and will call out to her in an angry tone to go fetch his fan and white gloves. He will point off in the direction toward the house and will think Alice is the housemaid. Alice will arrive at the rabbit's house and will immediately go in the house and find the fan and gloves. She will also find another little bottle and will drink what is inside. It will make her grow so large, she will get stuck in the room of the White Rabbit's house and she will not be able to get out. Alice will be talking to herself and she will hear someone's voice outside. When will Alice learn not to drink strange potions in this fairy tale land?